Skittles coming. Skittles coming to town.
Boop, boop, boop.
Butter boop boop boop. Butter doop doop doop.
Oh, shoot.
Oh shit. You got it, Chris? Chris is in a go-kart right now, so you'll have to forgive if his phone drops at certain points.
Thank you for having me.
Now tell me, how have you been? What have you been doing to keep yourself sane?
Honestly, creating videos and TikToks has been the thing that has kept me very sane.
Yes.
At the beginning of the year, I got heavy into like waking up, praying, and meditating. And I was doing that basically every day from January through to March when we were like going into quarantine. And I feel like at the beginning of that was really how I like was able to process everything that was going on in a calmer state. And so then like I kind of really just automatically went into work mode because in my head I was like, well, everybody has to stay home, so what's the one thing that they're gonna be consuming? Digital content.
Arts, baby.
And so I kind of like went straight into that like, mode of like, okay, well, I knew TikTok was something that my students and people have been telling me for like a couple of years to get onto. And then immediately the moment I started focusing on it, I was lucky enough to start gaining a lot of traction that way. And then now I'm kind of like in that work mode of taking the audience that I've gained from TikTok and then spreading it to my Instagram audience so that I can, have a solid audience for all of my content.
That's why I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah, YouTube, it's crazy how now like Instagram is the thing, and everybody is consuming content on Instagram. And every once in a while my YouTube channel can get back into those, bigger numbers, but really the more traction I get is via Instagram now.
Talk about starting from YouTube, because you actually came from a time like before Instagram started, and like your foundation is different from people's foundations for creating content right now on the internet.
Yes, it's crazy because first off, I started my YouTube channel in college, right? And it was just something that I was doing for fun. And then after Shit Spanish Go Say went viral, that's when I was like, okay, like this can be a thing. Let me like try and focus on creating content for YouTube. So before, it used to be like this whole big thing where it was just like trying to lead everybody to YouTube, the website, like leading everybody to the website to try and watch these videos. And for a long time, the virality of Shit Spanish Go Say kind of allowed my videos to be, seen. And then, of course, as time went on and we got newer, different, like, social media platforms, Instagram just kind of really started becoming bigger and bigger. And the minute that Instagram introduced IGTV, that was when it was like, oh, now you can kind of recycle old content that used to be uploaded on YouTube and use that to gain traction on Instagram. So that's what I started doing around like 2 years ago. I started like taking old videos that maybe didn't have as many views on YouTube and started recycling them to Instagram.
We've literally started the opposite.
Yeah. We had some fun technical difficulties.
Yes.
Figured out.
Yes, honey.
And now I am on my phone on Zoom.
Listen,
now,
this happens often in
how we are going to solve our problem of Instagram, bringing all the people from Instagram to YouTube, and what we could do to figure that out. Throw a hardball at you.
I think that, what's funny is that this is something that I myself am still trying to figure out every day. I feel like YouTube has changed their algorithm and Instagram has changed their algorithm so much that it's really hard for people to kind of figure out how to be, unless you have like these huge followings that are engaging all of your content. The biggest tip that I could possibly give is to make sure that you are engaging your audience 100, 110%. on Instagram and making sure that you're adding in those like calls to action. So you're adding in things like, and people make fun of it all the time when people say, hey, if you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. But that is a known, it's just like, that's a known tool that will help, you know, you gain a bigger audience. So I think like when it comes to trying to bring your audiences over, it's all about that audience engagement, and it's all about also being consistent with your content. Like, for example, I co-host a podcast called Ladies Who Brunches, shameless plug. And we are in our and we are in our third season, and I think that this season we've really gotten a handle of like really curating our content, because we know that Instagram is where people are engaging our content the most. We make sure that even though we might have 11 episodes, we know that those 11 episodes are going to take us through 11 weeks. So we have 5 pieces of content that is related to each individual episode, so that we can spend 5 days promoting each episode and giving our audiences little bits and pieces so that they have something more to come to if they're not automatically going to your SoundCloud or going to your YouTube and engaging the full podcast. But yeah, so audience engagement, calls to action, and consistency. Boom.
Chris, we got to make a call to action, my guy.
Yes, we do. Oh my gosh. Can I ask you, like, how are fans on YouTube? Like, what has been your experience with that? And how do you deal with negative comments? Because we know for everybody, they eventually start coming because people hate us.
Oh, yeah. I feel like what's funny is I've experienced many different levels of, I guess, what you would call fandom or people who are supporting my work. I think that when Shit Spanish Girl Say was fresh, I experienced the craziness of what it was like to go to, I went to Pride that year and I was being chased, literally chased. And I remember me and my best friend Julissa, like, were in Union Square and a crowd had formed around me and people were like taking pictures, and they were literally like grabbing me to take pictures. They weren't asking to take pictures. They were like grabbing me by the arm. They didn't know my name. They were calling me Pero Like. As years have gone on, obviously it's definitely become a more calmer experience where people are more so like, whoa, they either are like, I love that video, or they've seen me in something else after that they're kind of like acknowledging it in a much more calmer, saner way, because I am a normal human being. When it comes to mean comments, I think that my thick skin of being a Latino gay man from the Bronx, growing up in a time.
The Bronx, me too, baby.
Growing up in a time where being gay wasn't the thing at all, you know, that bullying really did prepare me for whatever trolls can say on the internet, because you grow a thick skin, you know.
Exactly. I love that.
I hope we have to start figuring out things about fans. Can you imagine that, bro?
Imagine.
That'd be wonderful.
Honestly, hate comments to me are funny.
They could be.
I like to turn them into things where it's like where I'll respond to it so that they have to come back to the video, and then like you get the view again.
Oh, that's smart.
Yes.
Come on, businesswoman.
You know.
I was gonna ask you, what is kind of your next step career-wise? Like, what are you looking towards for the future? TV, film, more theater?
A little bit of everything, hopefully.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm at a point where I am accepting whatever work gets thrown at me. I've been very fortunate enough that people see the video and find the other content, and then they think of me. Oh, excuse me. They think of me for anything. So, you know, I've been fortunate enough that a lot of my auditions have been because they've seen the video and they think that I'll be good for whatever role they have. So If that is more theater, then absolutely I would love to do more theater because I love to sing and I love to be in front of a live audience. That's the funnest thing. Because making YouTube videos and TikToks is fun, but like you're in a room by yourself, you know?
Juan appeared on one of my favorite shows ever, High Maintenance. He's been on how many, 2 or 3 episodes, bro? Talk about it.
Yeah, I was on season 2 and season 3 of High Maintenance. I was in season 3 for literally like 5 seconds. But basically what ended up happening was the casting director had seen me on the internet and reached out to me, had me come in to read for an audition. They had me audition for 2 different, I guess, roles or whatever. They ended up casting me for that one small role, which was literally maybe like, I want to say maybe 2 minutes of the actual episode.
It's true, but it's like the first 2 minutes. Like,
yeah, it's literally about it's like at the very
guy.
beginning of the episode, and it's literally 2 minutes of me just like ranting on the telephone in a cab. And from that take, because that take was, first off, it took 4 hours to film, even though it was 2 minutes. And the majority of it was unscripted. So they gave me a script and I said a lot of what was on the script, like the whole boob line was actually in the script. They ended up liking me enough to bring me in for another episode, and I ended up being in the season finale of season 2. A lot more than I was.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So incredible.
You guys have to watch that season. What is that, season 3 or 4? Season 3?
It's season 2. It's season 2.
Season 2.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's insane. Have you seen, what other episodes of High Maintenance like come to mind right now of the ones that you've seen?
I really love the episode of the girl who is like from a super strict, I want to say it's a Muslim family, but I'm not completely sure if it's a Muslim family, but like she sneaks off and like she gets weed from like Ben and stuff like that.
Yes, I know. I remember this. That's an older episode. That's one of those.
Yeah. It's in like season 1, I think. It's in the first season. That's one of my one episode that definitely sticks out. Oh, and the episode where it's in the complete, like, this is another episode from the first season. The episode where it's completely from the dog's point of view.
Yes,
Come
yes.
on. That is like such a creative thing to put in a TV show. Like,
it's seriously one of the best episodes that come out of the whole show are from the first season. It's because they, so High Maintenance is on HBO. If you haven't seen it, you should just go watch it now. We know you have the time.
Yes.
Anyway.
I have to get my HBO subscription back right after this.
Oh, no. You know what, Chris, don't worry about it. Honestly, happy to say this on camera. I'll give you my HBO Go. I don't think it matters. It's not like a multi-screen.
You heard it first. You heard it first.
Friends that really matter, yo.
If
it wasn't for my friend Adiza, I would definitely.
Our producer just sends a message going, send the link.
Well, I know for sure that it is season 2, the season finale. So the last episode of the season finale. And then the other one, I believe, is the 4th episode, or it might be the 3rd episode. But it's the episode.
That's right.
It's the episode with all the drag queens at the House of Yes.
Oh my God, I love that
episode.
Yeah. It's one of the best episodes in the series. They all are, it seems like. All of them are amazing.
That must have been so much fun to film.
And John Gallagher Jr. was in your episode, right? Like, he was, I don't know if you know who he is, but he was in Spring Awakening on Broadway. Like, he was Morris. The guy who was the, I don't want to spoil anything, but spoiler alert, he was the fiance. He got like,
oh yes, and I didn't know who he was when we were filming it, but I did do a little.
Yes.
Doing your research. That's what's up, man. We also, you know what? I guess this is a good moment to do it. It's early on. I wanted to screen share some of your Dua Lipa cover. I gotta tell you, my mom loves Dua Lipa. I showed her this video, and she was like, "He's got to do it instead of her." Like, it was crazy.
Okay.
like the personalities that you bring.
Someone's got to. I'm kidding.
So let's try and take a moment to hopefully capture that. Here we fucking go.
I'm all good already, so moved on is scary. I'm not where you left me at all. So if you don't wanna see me dancing with somebody, if you wanna believe that anything could stop me, don't show up, don't come out, don't start caring about me now. Walk away, you know how. Don't start caring about me now. Listen, it's okay what you gotta say. I don't wanna lay that text and that shit on your way. You a clown, dusty, watch up looking dusty. Damn, I look good, I know why you wouldn't trust me. I don't want you asking me to come and cuddle. Said I'm over you, there ain't need for no rebuttal. Look at you, all up in my DMs looking thirsty. Said I'm not the one, but you the worst, B. If you don't wanna see me dancing with somebody, if you wanna believe that anything could stop me, don't show up, don't come out, don't start caring about me now. Walk away, you know how. Don't start caring about me now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. That's crazy, bro. Talk about putting this stuff together.
That, you know what's funny is that Don't Start Now cover was literally just something that Joe, who is the guy in the video who's playing the guitar and all the instruments, and that Joe and I just wanted to do. Like, I was over his house. So I've assembled in 2020. I decided I wanted to kind of take creating content a lot more seriously than I have in the past. Keith, when you met me, I was a full-time music teacher at a
That's
public
right.
school.
I want you.
So
We're going to talk about that. We need to talk about that, but please continue.
Yeah. So I was a full-time public school music teacher, and I was doing this show during the nights, and I was doing the rehearsals during the nights of after school. So I was literally teaching in the Bronx, and then having to come all the way down to the bottom of Manhattan to the Brooklyn Bridge to come to these rehearsals.
Oh my Lord.
What are you eating? I'm just curious. What are your mushrooms?
Ice.
Ice?
Yes!
I'm chewing on ice, yeah.
Hood bitches love ice. We love ice.
No, you do not fucking call me a bird. Fuck out of here.
Okay. No, I'm right there with you. Oh my God. I wanted a full cup of just ice, just to crunch on that shit.
Look, no.
Yes!
We love us an ice crunching intermission, honey.
I mean, that's what I love about you, Juan, if I'm being honest. Juan Ortiz. If I'm gonna be real frank. Ooh, poltergeist. I'm so grateful that you're here, because you are one of those crazy, amazing, talented people who just walks in a room, lights it up, and still gives space for others to breathe. It is a rare gem of a find. And if I've said that already, I'll just fucking say it again. Because you know what? It's me and Chris's fucking podcast. If you don't mind.
What was it like when your videos first started to go viral? Like, what was that feeling like?
You know, I feel like I always look back on it as kind of like a validation of that I can, you know, reach the goals that I had always wanted to reach. I had always wanted to be an entertainer, performer of some sort. You guys see that I'm wearing my Brittney Spears shirt. I have literally always been obsessed with Brittney Spears in the way of like just that like super fame of like being America's sweetheart and being, you know, like so fierce and such a fierce performer, but then also being like super humble and having people like, you know, actually like you as a person, you know? And so I had always wanted to become something like that, but never knew of a way that I, as the human that I was born as, could find success in that world. You know, I'm not a skinny blonde chick from Louisiana, you know? And so when Shit Spanish Girl Say went viral, and then I started seeing opportunities come, that was really when I kind of started seeing the change in kind of media and kind of seeing a path for me in the world of entertainment, because that was really what the era of YouTube was all about. The idea that like people were choosing to follow you, people were choosing to follow your content, and you weren't this like pre-packaged deal from some big machine of an industry that was spitting you out. So really that's really how I really thought of it. It was kind of just like validation that I could entertain literally millions. Simply as simple as that. It was the validation that I needed to pursue creative endeavors, period. And drawing back to what I was saying before, when Keith met me, I was a full-time music teacher. And for a long time, I was a full-time music teacher for 5 years. And it was basically like kind of fresh out of college. I had spent a year unemployed and then became a teacher. And in those 5 years, even though I was still creating content and creating videos, I wasn't doing it as often or frequently or consistently. And, you know, I was just kind of getting bogged down by that. It was really playing, it was really taking a toll on me. And so last year in 2019, I quit my full-time teaching job and got like a part-time teaching job, and, you know, have been able to utilize that free time to then assemble a team to then help me create the content and focus on what I wanted to do creatively. So in assembling a team, that's how I was able to get someone like Joe Endozo, who is an incredible musical genius that I went to high school with, to really create a passion project that was Don't Start Now. Don't Start Now wasn't because it was literally like, Joe, I like this song. And he was like, ooh, I like this song too. Let's cover it. Like, it was literally that. It wasn't like, ooh, let's hop on this trend. Ooh, let's like whatever. It was simply, I like this song. Let's sing it. And then Cessa came in because I was like, I want to put my twist on it. I don't want to just put out a cover. I want to be creative about it.
You need to talk about the birth of Cessa LaPrincessa. Is that right?
Yes, Cessa LaPrincessa.
Yeah, I love this person that you've brought to life. Who is she?
Cessa LaPrincessa is my mother, my cousins, my aunts, mostly my cousin. I have a cousin named Jocelyn or Jocelyn, and she and I are 8 months apart, and we literally did everything together. We were baptized together. We did our communion together. We graduated at one point together. And she very much was your quintessential Puerto Rican, Ecuadorian mix girl with long, like wavy curly hair who like would attract every boy just by walking by. And she was loud, and she, you know, she was unapologetic of who she was. And so Cessa was really birthed via the vehicle of Shit Spanish Girl Say, but where I drew inspiration for her personality was really from my cousin, who I had watched be this kind of like unapologetic pretty girl, you know, and just like nobody could tell her anything. Because she came from Shit Spanish Girl Say, I like to make her a caricature of, or we like to, I should say we, because it is definitely me and Julissa Contreras' creation. we like to make her a caricature of, you know, Latinx stereotypes to poke fun at us. But we also like to always have that message of her being a fierce, powerful Latina who like doesn't take anybody's shit.
But it seems like what you're doing is like just sort of glorifying the like heart of your community. And like that.
Yeah, I think that because yes, there is that part of like being able to poke fun at it, but it always has to come from a genuine place, and it can't be anything malicious, really. I think that like there have been times where people have wanted to collaborate with me as Cessa, but they wanted to put me in certain roles where they were playing off of the, oh, she's an ugly girl, or oh, she's a this girl. And those were times where I had to be like, nah, you know, like she's not gonna be disrespected as the ugly girl. She's not gonna be automatically put into the role of like a stripper or a crackhead or whatever, because that's not what we're doing. Even though we're poking fun at certain stereotypes, we still need to uplift our girls. And another thing that I never intended to happen, that just kind of happened naturally, was because I am someone who I feel gender is a journey, you know? And so I like to identify as gender nonconforming just because of how I feel, but also just because of the things that how I present. You know, I naturally just present more feminine, especially when I have like my makeup on and stuff like that. So in doing so, I would say that a lot of me has bled into Cessa in that allowing the trans community to also identify a lot with Cessa, you know? And so I feel like as someone who cares so much for uplifting women, but then also uplifting the LGBTQIA+ community, I really try to make sure that I'm doing right by them and making sure that even though I'm poking fun at certain stereotypes, I'm always still uplifting and having like a positive message behind it.
Exactly.
I'm never trying to like disrespect people.
Seriously. What was it like trying to navigate being a viral star, but at the same time, you know, still also pursuing theater? Like we talked about before, you were part of I remembered seeing you in the Barely Legal Extravaganza with Conor and Gregor. You were absolutely incredible in that. And yeah, what was that like trying to navigate, maybe going into audition rooms?
I think it's influenced how people try to cast me a lot. And that can, I guess, be both a good thing and a bad thing, because everybody loves how I act as Cessa, so they always kind of want me in some type of funny Cessa-ish role. It's definitely influenced it in how I'm casted when it comes to theater. It's definitely afforded me cool audition opportunities.
Being put in that like pigeonhole is so aggravating. This is something we talked about a little bit with our first guest. The way they sort of only see your how useful you are based on how large you can be, how much you can eat, how much you can embarrass yourself. It's
no, seriously.
It's the dumbest shit ever. And look, I'm not gonna say that like you can't. There's a way to like play the game. I guess it's the argument for any sort of community who feels misrepresented in Hollywood. It's just like, are you gonna,
or theater or anything? Yeah.
Do I have to like fall on my face and like do like a shit ton of drugs and like be a crazy fucking John Belushi, or do you want me to just be like the dumb sidekick character? It's dumb as fuck is the word I'm gonna say, because
I think that it also, like, because of that idea, I'm appreciative of the fact that we're coming from an age where we're coming from like a YouTube age, and going back to that idea of like people choosing to follow you because of who you are and because of the content that you're making. And so a lot of how I've approached doing things in general when I'm creating is like, I've had that mentality of like, well, if you're not gonna put me up in front in these types of roles, then I'm gonna create it for myself. You know?
Exactly. Exactly.
And so like, even though it is cool to have like cool audition opportunities and the bad side of it being pigeonholed into a specific type of role, I think that's where I take what is that word? I get responsibility or satisfaction in knowing that I can create what it is that I need to do to make people see me in a certain light, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think everybody should have that mentality. Like, you don't see it.
100%. Yeah.
Or,
seriously.
so one of the last things I wanted to talk to you about, growing up and doing music and as sort of like in a choral setting, because let's face it, people, when you were a theater kid, like a lot of what you had was musical theater, and what came from musical theater was like doing choir and learning how to sing.
100%.
And like I just want to note that you went to Westminster Choir College, which is part of Rider. It's where I almost considered going because I was deciding between doing musical theater or doing music. Or doing acting. I had no idea what I wanted when I was 17. But you went to this choir college and trained to...
That's so real.
And then you became a teacher, and you became a music teacher. Were you a choir director? Were you a chorus director? Please.
Yeah. It's funny. I have a very interesting education journey in terms of, like, when I was a senior as well, I also was kind of on that note of like, I don't know what I want to do, but I know that I wanted to be in music. So I applied for music education. I applied for music theater. I applied for music management, like arts management.
Wow.
Because I really was just trying to do something in music.
Anything with music. That's incredible.
Yeah. And so I think it was a good thing and a bad thing, only because when you try to do it all, you can't really like focus and like refine yourself to be like the perfect package for what it is that you're auditioning for. All that to say, I went to Westminster, ended up becoming a music educator in the South Bronx, which is the poorest district in the city. And I was the second music teacher that they had, but the other music teacher that they had was only there for 1 year. So I was really the first music teacher. And so my experience in being a music educator was really kind of just building a music program from the ground up in a school that test scores were more of the priority. And not because of necessarily not being supported, but just because of the way the DOE works and the community that we were in, there's more priority put on test scores. So I have that experience for 5 years, but then I have my other experience where I'm at like a music school in Manhattan, and like, you know, it's much more conservative and classically based, and their curriculum is much more developed. And I was kind of like put into that.
Wow.
So definitely two different experiences depending on the community. What I notice is that's uniform across the board is the apathy amongst students, and like the idea that like if music is not what you're trying to do, then they're really not trying to take you seriously or do the work.
Exactly.
That was a hard pill to swallow, just as an artist in general. Like aside from, oh, I want to do a good job or whatever. It was hard to like deal with people's attitudes towards music, but you got to work through it and stuff like that.
Literally, the conversations that we've had were just dumb phenomenal. It's because of like people like you who create your own content, create work for yourself and mold yourself as like an individual other people can be in our industry. I am very grateful to have you on. It's
so much fun.
Thank you.
We're gonna, all of the info for the videos that we played are down here, like under more info or wherever you are, whoever you are, it's there.
And we on Spotify now, y'all. So we lit.
Yes.
Oh, let's give a quick shout out to whoever we want.
Yes.
You start, Juan.
So, well, if you want to follow me, you can follow me at The Real Skittles on Instagram. You can follow me at The Real Skittles on Twitter and The Real Skittles on TikTok. You can also check out Ladies Who Bronche. That's LADIES Who WHO Bronche BRONCHE. On all of your favorite streaming platforms, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. Come through for the Wachinche.
Yes.
That's so awesome.
You're the fucking bomb. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Woo!